Just a reminder before today's programme, if you haven't seen the previous Now review of the numbered series, it can still be viewed here on the channel, and that of course was a review of Now 105. Also be sure to check out the last episode of our Now Dance Journey if you haven't seen it, where we took a look at the two releases from 1993. And now, here on AMTV, that Now Dance Journey continues into the year 1994, with not one, not two, not three, but 4 releases. Hi there guys, it's Martyn here, and welcome back to another instalment of the Now Review. And today we're continuing our journey through the Now Dance series, and this time it's going to be a mega video. We're in the year 1994 and we have not one, not two, not even 3, but 4 releases that came in the year 1994. I think that's a record so far on the Now Dance journey. But rest assured, I have all 4 of those releases here, and we're going to be taking a look at every single one of Now Dance 94. So 1994 must have been a pretty good year for dance music if this is anything to go by. But of course, we will start with the first that was released, which is this one over here, Now Dance 94, Volume 1. So as you can see, I have this on 2 formats. I have it on CD and I have it on vinyl. And interestingly enough, the vinyl edition here is the last Now Dance release to be issued on vinyl. So anything after this was only released on CD and then cassette and then later digitally as well. So it's annoying that the last vinyl release is Volume 1 of Now Dance 94. I kind of wish they'd have just followed through and at least done Volume 1 and Volume 2. But alas, here we have Now Dance 94 Volume 1 with 19 of the greatest dance tracks, it says. The cover's quite wavy. I mean, it's got this big red Now, which is like very out there and obnoxious, and you've got the font here, which is pretty simplistic. It's similar to Now Dance 93. And I don't know, the colour scheme here, I kind of like it. It's a bit all over the place, but it's charming enough. And this includes the Doobie Brothers, Culture Beat, M People, U2, K-Class, D-Ream, K7, and the Urban Cookie Collective, and I'm sure many more. So if you flick over at the back for that all-important track list, I'm going to put you over there, and I'm going to take you through what we have. So side 1, you have the Doobie Brothers with Long Train Runnin', The Sure Is Pure 7-inch edit, Culture Beat with Got to Get It, M People with Moving On Up, K-Class with Let Me Show You, the club mix, D-Ream with Things Can Only Get Better, the Dream Mix edit, DJ Duke with Blow Your Whistle, the radio edit, a Homeboy, a Hippie, and a Funky Dread, I think that says, with Here We Go Again, K7 with Come Baby Come, radio edit, EYC with Feeling Alright, and Ice-T with That's How I'm Living on the Rocks remix. So that's side 1, that's a pretty good first side if you ask me. A lot of solid tracks from 1994. I think my personal favourites on this side would be Moving On Up by M People and Things Can Only Get Better by D-Ream as well. But let's move on over to side 2 and see what we have. So you've got the Urban Cookie Collective with Feels Like Heaven, U2 with Lemon, the Perfecto mix, Frankie Goes to Hollywood with Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, the original 7-inch A-side, Alex Party with Alex Party, Saturday Night Party, a lot of parties, Exoterics with Satisfy My Love, Hadaway with Life, Saget with Funk Dat, Judy Cheeks with So In Love, The Real Deal, the Frankie Fonts radio edit, and finishing off with Gabrielle and I Wish. And yeah, there's a lot to say about this side, so particular notes. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome by Frankie Goes to Hollywood is actually one of the songs on the album of the same name that originally came out in 1984. So what on earth is this doing on a compilation from 1994, you ask? Well, to my knowledge, that particular song was re-released as a single and actually did decently well in the charts. I think it got top 20, so it must have been that big in the dance scene that they put it on this album. And also another one I want to talk about is Life by Hadaway. Now a lot of you might know the name Hadaway for the huge Eurodance hit What Is Love, which came out the year previous in 93. Life was one of the follow-up singles, and when you compare it to What Is Love, I think it's very lackluster in comparison. But you know, it's decent, but it's very typical Eurodance fare in my opinion. So that is the track list, your 19 tracks, and if I focus on that barcode a second, as you can see it says NOD 11, as this is in fact the 11th Now Dance release, so that's a nice bit of continuity there in keeping with the rest of them. Now as this is a vinyl release, of course it has the vinyl record disc inside, so I'm going to take it out its cover and just show you what it looks like. So here is the disc. We've actually got a bit of variety here, so this is blue with red text, which actually correlates quite well. I think that's quite nice. And then flip it, you've got a red, it is red, trust me, with black text. So nice to have a bit of variety for once in the discs. And yeah, just sad to see that this is in fact the last vinyl release for the Now Dance series. So that is the vinyl release, but what about the CD, you ask? Well, the CD is still 19 tracks, that's all they could fit onto one disc it seems, and as far as I know the track list is exactly the same. We'll just have a quick scan, but yeah, already looking at it, this is exactly the same track list. There's no differentiation as there was with Now Dance 92, for example. This is still a Now Dance 11 according to this, although now it's on CD. And if we open it up, there you go, there's your disc inside. So they've gone with the blue on red font there, which is fine, and you've got your track list there once again. So nothing too special to say about the CD. There's your spine. I really like that font for Now Dance, actually. That's a really cool font. Nothing much more to say about the CD except it's the exact same track list, so by this point you're really picking your preference as to what format you want it on. This is also available on cassette as well. So in terms of general availability, where can you get these? Well, the CD is very common, you can get that. I think I literally got that for £1. I'm sure the cassette's not that expensive either. The real moneymaker is the vinyl edition. Now, of course, with this being the last Now Dance release on vinyl, it is going to fetch a little bit more than some of the others. I think some of the early Now Dance albums, I commented that, you know, they were a couple of pounds, maybe £10 maximum if you were getting them brand new. This one, for example, cost me around £40, which might sound like a lot of money, but again, you got to consider this was 1994. Vinyl was dying on its feet by then in terms of like general album sales. Most people had moved on to CD, and also this is the last in the Now Dance series, so it probably didn't sell all that well. So I'm lucky to have a copy. But if you're looking for a copy, just make sure, as always, the vinyl is in good condition. But if you're not particularly questing to get every Now Dance on vinyl, I'd stick with the CD or the cassette edition. Right, well that's volume 1 covered of 1994. Oh, you thought that was it? Well, no, we've got a few more to look at, so let's move on to volume 2. So here it is, we have Now Dance 94 volume 2, which has 20 of the greatest dance tracks. That's a very presumptuous title. Now, whereas the volume 1 cover I sort of admired and liked the colour schemes, this is just horrible. I mean, it's got the same Now font and the same Dance 94 font and all that sort of stuff, but the colours, all this light blue and dark blue swirls mixed with yellow, and I think it looks hideous personally. I'm sure some of you might like it. So on here you've got Reel to Reel, the Urban Cookie Collective, again, Eternal, To Unlimited, E17, Shara Nelson, The Orb, Enigma, and many more. Well, if you say so, let's take a look at the track list, and that is unbearably small to read. I'm going to have to zoom in. I do apologise, my eyes aren't that good, and this is incredibly difficult to read. So you've got To Unlimited with Let the Beat Control Your Body, E17 with It's Alright, Reel to Reel featuring the Mad Stuntman with I Like to Move It, Urban Cookie Collective with Sail Away, Eternal with Save Our Love, Shara Nelson with Uptight, Carleen Anderson with Nervous Breakdown, River Ocean featuring India with Love and Happiness, Juliet Roberts with I Want You, and Sub Sub with Respect. And then if you move over here, you have D-Mob with Kathy Dennis with Why, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince with Can't Wait to Be With You, Joe with I'm in Love, Urban Species with Spiritual Love, The Orb with Perpetual Dawn, Enigma with Return to Innocence, Atlantic Ocean with Waterfall, Bass Bumpers with The Music's Got Me, Barbara Tucker with Beautiful People, and Joey Negro with What a Life. So that's the 20 tracks you've got on here, and I think if we look at the barcode, yes, it is CD NOD 12, the 12th Now Dance release overall. So that's your track list. I'll just open this up, show you what's inside. There you go. That disc is slightly, the darker blue is slightly more bearable. It's actually got all the tracks there, not the artist, so I couldn't have read it off that really. And it's always annoying in the Now Dance series, at least at this point, the little booklet is literally just the track list again and production information. Whereas if you remember in the numbered series, the booklets would have information about the artist and like where they placed in the charts and the album you could get this from. Not so much here. It's a shame they didn't transport that over. I know this probably wasn't their main focus, but it could have been too much to include some information, could it? In terms of the track list on here, I mean, it's decent enough. I think I prefer the track list on Volume 1 of Now Dance 94. There are good songs on here, like It's Alright by E17, for example, the Eternal song that's on here, and I'm glad they put Enigma on here, which are very, like, it's almost, Enigma, to describe it, is basically like Gregorian choir music mixed with, like, dance and, like, early 90s sort of dance. It's really cool, actually, but so there's a lot of interesting songs on here, but just for me personally, in my taste, I much prefer Volume 1 of Now Dance 94, and I guess maybe if you were a kid back then and had a limited amount of pocket money, maybe you had to choose. I'm not sure whether these came out at the same time. I doubt they did. They often stagger these through the year, so this would have come out after. I mean, you get one more track than Now Dance 94 Volume 1, granted, But yeah, if you had to give me the option, I'd definitely go with Volume 1. They've changed the font of Now Dance as well here. I think that just looks very childish, very tacky, just no thank you. I mean, now where can you get this from? Well, again, like all the CD versions of the Now Dance stuff, it's very common to come by. I got this, again, for around £1. The cassette will be fairly inexpensive as well, but for the first time, well, not the first time actually, because Now Dance 93 didn't have one, but in 1994 anyway, it's the first time that this Now Dance album does not have a vinyl equivalent, which I wish they did at least do Volume 1 and Volume 2 just to complete the set. As far as I know, there wasn't a vinyl edition. I've looked in a lot of places. I've looked in Discogs as well, which is like a big music database, and no record of a vinyl version of this album is known to exist. But if there does, that'd be a mystery to solve, wouldn't it? But that's Now Dance 94 Volume 2, a little lackluster in my opinion, but now we move on to the summary weather. So you've had Volume 1 and had Volume 2, which are both single discs. Now you have Now Dance Summer 94. So we're into the summer album. So this correlates nicely with the recent album that just came out, of course, Now 100 Hit Summer. This is 2 discs, as it proudly proclaims on here. We're back to 2-disc albums with 40 sizzling dance hits. It's 2 CD special value, it says. I wonder how much this cost back in the day. It must have been special value. In terms of the artwork, it's almost like that 60s pop art style. It's very trippy, actually. You've got like sunflower pop art, and the text, again, is very like standard and very, I don't know, like early word art sort of thing, I think. I don't know if that's what they were going for at the time. I know a lot of brands use this sort of thing, but yeah, it just feels a little lackluster, the font. But I do like the sunflower pop art effect here. And who have we got? Including M People, Hadaway, D Ream, Capella, CJ Lewis, Tony DeBart, Jocelyn Brown and Kim Mazel, Max, Blast, Reel to Reel, 2 Unlimited, and Eternal. So we're back to 2 discs. If you remember though, the early 2-disc Now Dance albums had 20 tracks because a lot of them were 12-inch extended mixes. I think the emphasis on 12-inch extended mixes has now gone from the series. I mean, the Volume 1 and Volume 2 only had 20 tracks across 1 disc. So I think we've stopped with 12-inch extended mixes, which I think is a shame because I thought that gave people a nice option from hearing what was on a standard album. But nevertheless, let's turn this over, and we have 40 tracks. Now, I might not read this out, I might just scan on down because that is a lot of tracks to talk about, although funnily enough, I can actually read this one. So, a lot of good tracks I'm seeing on there. Move On Baby by Capella is a great song. Skipping on there, you got Because of You by Gabrielle, for example. Dupe by Dupe, what a song. I Like to Move It. Okay, so you're seeing some of them like crossover here. Who could play that game? Bobby Brown. Yeah, there's some crossover because obviously this is summer, so I'm guessing they're taking some stuff from the first 2 volumes, which is fine. I mean, this if it was just 1 disc, I'd have more of a problem with it, but because it's 2, I've got less of an issue. And this is CD NOD 13, as it is the 13th Now Dance release. I do like how they keep that continuity at least. I'll just open this up before I talk about the track list, if I can open it up. There we go. So that is your CD there. That's CD 1. And if you open it there, it's fallen out. Of course it has. I wouldn't expect any different. It's CD 2. I like how you've got the 2 different colours. You've got the blue and you've got the yellow. I think that's quite nice. And you get a full view of the sunflower pop art as well, which I think is a nice little touch while I fiddle with the disc. This feels like a Meteor booklet. Just having a look inside, again, it is mainly just production information. I do think that is such a missed opportunity in my opinion. Like, why not include information about the artist you're featuring on here? That seems obvious, but nevertheless, that's what it is. So in terms of the track list, this is these are great summery songs. I mean, I'm glad they got Rock My Heart by Hadaway. That is a strong Hadaway follow-up to What Is Love in my opinion, so I highly recommend that if you haven't heard it. And as I say, you've got some carryover from Now Dance 94 Volume 1 and 2. If this was a single disc release, as I said, I would have been a bit more bothered because it seems like you're just wasting your money buying the same songs again. But as this is 2 discs and those repeat tracks only take up a small minority, I find that quite good. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen as I've been scanning through some songs that you might remember from the time or songs that you think stand out. And I think the important thing to remember with summer albums, because I noticed this on my review of Now 100 Hit Summer, a lot of people said these songs aren't about summer, or they don't relate to summer, or they don't make you think of summer. Well, I'd argue any song that makes me think of summer, or a song that I think could be played during summer at a party, whether it's about summer or not, is a summer song. And it was the same with that album, and it's the same with this. A lot of these are very summery songs for me. So you've had Volume 1, you've had Volume 2, and you've just enjoyed the summer of '94. But we've got one more release to look at. It only seemed inevitable. Here is Now Dance, the best of 94. Now, right off the bat, you can see this is taking a lot of inspiration from the Now Summer Dance 94 in a big way. I mean, look at the cover. You've got that pop art style, but instead of a sunflower, it's just the number 94. There's 40 massive dance hits, just like on the other album, and it's a 2 CD special value, as it likes to boldly proclaim. I find the colours of the font less like jarring this time. The other one was like a lot of yellows and oranges. This is like a nice cool blue, a nice easy purple. I just find this really nice it's really easy to look at, basically. Pato Banton with Robin and Ali Campbell. You've got MC Star and the Real McCoy. You've got well, we don't talk about him. Real to Real feat the Mad Stuntman. I can't say that word. The Grid, Eternal, Max, M People, and many more. Oh, controversial album to say the least. There is the spine of said album, and you have your 40 massive dance hits on the back. And I'm just gonna scan down there. That's a big song, track 2, which I can't say the name of the artist. But right off the bat, these are some great songs on here. I'm just reading them in. And again, I'm already noticing as well, some of them are repeats from the other albums, but in a way, you've got to kind of forgive it because this is a best of compilation. If it was touting to be something different, again, I'd be a lot more bothered, but because it isn't, I can let it slide. And as you can see, it's the CD NOD 14, as this is indeed the 14th release in the Now Dance series. Talk more about that track list in a moment. Crack that open. There you go. So there is a pink disc for CD 1, and has this fallen out? It hasn't. It's a purple disc for CD 2. Now those two colours, I think they contrast really well. That is a beautiful colour for 2 discs there. And like the summer album, you get a view of the pop art style without the fonts, so just a lot of 94. So if 94 is your favourite number, you're in luck because there's certainly a lot of them here. Now, the track list. Obviously, the summer album had some repeats, and this has way more repeats, but I will let this slide as this is the best of 94. So of course you're going to take the best dance tracks from the other albums and whack them on here. That's only natural. So whether you should buy this or not, I mean, if you bought the other albums, you might want to consider whether you're going to buy this or not, because there are some tracks that didn't feature on those. But by that same token, if you bought the other 3 albums, there are bound to be tracks on there that are on this. So if you've got the money and you don't mind a fair bit of repeating, then go for it. But then this album's really for the people who didn't get the other releases, I think. If you just want one album that summarizes 1994 in dance music, then this is the one you should definitely get. Fairly easy to pick up. It's about £1 on CD, probably a couple of quid on cassette, and again, no vinyl release of it. So those indeed are your 4 releases from 1994. It must have either been a really good year for dance in the eyes of the producers here, or they just really wanted to expand the dance range, because we haven't seen this many releases of Now Dance since 1990, when there were 3 releases. So which of these is my personal favourite? Well, my personal favourite is Now Dance 94 Volume 1. Just the track list there really connects with me. I really enjoy the music there. But you've really got to check out these track lists to decide for yourself. If you're going to be picky, if you're only going to get one of the 4 or not all of them. I mean, if you're a collector and if you just like dance music in the year 1994, you'll probably get all 4 of these. But really consider looking at the track lists before you do. As I mentioned, all of these on CD are dirt cheap, like £1, £2 max. I mean, vinyl, the only one that's got vinyl is Volume 1. CD, they're all available on CD, I just said that. Cassette, you're probably looking at a couple of quid for each, but they all had cassette releases to my knowledge. But yeah, is it too much? Is it a bit of a saturation? You could argue so, putting out 4 releases in the span of 1 year, but at least each are different. Volume 1 and 2 sort of take account different parts of the year. Summer is exactly what it says on the tin, and then you've got the best of to summarize the previous 3. So definitely check out the track list to decide which one of these, if maybe all of them, or one of them, or none of them, is right for you. But that is all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and consider subscribing to the channel. Join the AMTV crowd, it really helps us out. Join the Discord server as well to join in with discussion about Now albums and a whole host of other things as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next one, I will see you guys next time. Well, that does bring us to a close this evening on AMTV. We do hope you enjoyed the programme, and please do keep your eyes open for brand new content that will be coming to you soon. Until then, have a very good week, and we hope that you join us again soon. Good night.